job.
Thank you, Marianne. Oh, good Shabbos, everyone. Our drosha tonight is actually Achrei Mot II, because as we at Temple Israel Hillbrow go with according to the World Union of Progressive Judaism, we do Achrei over 2 Shabbats, so that next week we will be in sync again. I think that's right, isn't it, Jacob? So we are back again to Achrei Mot. And as you've heard, those of you who were with us last Shabbat, my droshas, it is after the death. And I was thinking to myself, how appropriate that we at Temple Israel Hillbrow follow the World Union's tradition of doing 2 Shabbats, basically on the same portion of Torah. Because yesterday I attended Yom HaShoah, the death, commemorating the death of 6 million Jews, as I do Baruch Hashem every year, and I attended in person. It was also on Zoom at the West Park Cemetery, a date that is commemorated with great sadness and great horror at what the world has experienced, at what humanity has done to humanity. And yet at the same time, we know as Jews that we have to remain in the world, those of us who Baruch Hashem are still here, and in memory of our loved ones, be it a yortzeit. And basically, it's the yortzeit yesterday of all the Jewish people and all the non-Jews who perished in the Holocaust. So I thought tonight I would dedicate the drosha to the Holocaust and what I felt and what I experienced yesterday. It was very interesting. Well, of course, we didn't have the thousands as we usually have with this new type of virus now, even going higher here. And thank God we had many people on Zoom and on Facebook and on the other digital media. But what was extraordinary this year that I noticed is that it was the first year that so many different embassies in South Africa sent diplomats to experience and to cry inside at what had happened to the Jews and to the 20 million deaths that followed the Holocaust in the war. And we had embassies there, which was extraordinary. We'd never had so many embassies before. There was Austria, there was Canada, there was Australia. There were, and of course, there were Lithuania, where so many of us originate from. And the ambassador of Israel to South Africa actually gave the address at this magnificent traditional and non-traditional ceremony. Firstly, a wonderful young woman from King David's school sang Eli Eli too beautifully. And after that, we went into the entire ceremony, at which the Israeli ambassador reminded us that this commemoration is not only for the Jews, it is really for the whole world as a warning that this would never happen again. And with great sadness, he concluded his talk by saying, yet it is happening again, right before our eyes in Ukraine. And it all starts with words, and often words that are not factual. And just to conclude that part, there was an incredible Holocaust survivor that was interviewed on a big screen. And many of you, if you'd like to see this and you didn't attend either in person or on the Zoom, please ask me and we'll send it to you because it's extraordinary. On the big screen, Mary Klug, who is the president of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies throughout the world, the chair, she interviewed a survivor who is in her late 90s, Lily Ebert, and with her great-grandson, Dorf Foreman. By the way, I wonder if it's a relative of ours, Rob. His name is spelled the same. Her great-grandson did an extraordinary thing. In that, he went on TikTok, and I don't know if you've seen it, with his grandmother, who I think is about 98 now. And together on TikTok, they caused a sensation. Now, there was an opportunity of social media that can do so much harm with fake news and hatred. This has already had millions and millions of viewers. So this young man, her great-grandson, understanding that today social media is the platform, it's the marketplace of the world. Centuries ago, you would stand on a box at a marketplace and tell people. Today, social media, TikTok, Facebook, all of them, that is the marketplace of the world. And this genius young grandson of hers spoke to his mom, and she spoke to his great-grandmother, who's just written a book as well, at 98. And together they caused a sensation. And this, I thought, was such good news to bring you in the midst of darkness, because this is getting the message out to millions and millions and millions of young people, a good message, a message against hatred of the other, a message of respect for all human lives. And I would just like to share a few words then, some from great sages of our era, about what happens Achrei Mot, after death, after the death of all those millions, after the death of our loved ones, for we who are left behind, as indeed Aaron was after the death of his two sons. So the Holocaust is much more than a Jewish tragedy. It has become a symbol for the entire world of man's inhumanity to man. We remember, and especially today, thinking as well of the hatred and the murder and the genocide taking place in Europe. We remember a whole community of Jews from Sweden to the north, to Greece in the south, from France to the west, to Russia in the east. People who were no threat to anyone else, who vanished into the black hole in the heart of Europe. Amongst them were families who had lived in certain lands for almost 1,000 years, and yet they were regarded as strangers with no basic human rights, not even the right to life. The Holocaust was more than a Jewish tragedy, it was a human tragedy. We must remember that the rail tracks of hatred that led to Auschwitz haven't ended. And we must remember a world that largely stood silent as well. So, although many Jews in that era had integrated, had assimilated, had even perhaps forgotten they were Jewish, but anti-Semitism didn't end. It kept on, it grew, even after the Holocaust. Hate needs no reason. Jews were attacked because they were rich, because they were poor, because they were communists, because they were capitalists. It didn't matter the era or what they were being accused of. And that hatred starts with the Jews, but it never ends with the Jews. That is why it is your and my prophetic duty to see that all hatred of the other is stopped. That is why God made a covenant with us, that we could see it was stopped. And I know many people still cry today, why God, why did you allow that to happen? Well, we know from Torah, and we know that after the destruction of both temples and the prophets, that there was a new era starting where we became partners with Hashem, where the miracle was not parting the Red Sea or something happening directly from Hashem, but Hashem gave us his ability inside ourselves to create those miracles, to stop hatred of the other, to stop with voices raised and actions, as we're seeing more and more the world coming to the table slowly. Because you and I indeed are not only partners with Hashem, we are partners with Hashem in our duty to the whole world. And let me just conclude with some beautiful words from another rabbi of ours, Zach Shapiro, who did his young internship many, many years ago at Temple Israel Hillbrow, and today heads up a very big synagogue in the States. And this is what he had to say. He said, yesterday, well, the Hebrew month, the 27th of the Hebrew month of Nisan, in 2022, it becomes the 28th of April, yesterday, we commemorated Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day. When Hitler came to power in 1933, there were approximately 9.5 million Jews in Europe. By 1945, 2 out of every 3 Jews, roughly 6 million, were murdered. 1 out of every 3. It is not possible really to comprehend, and it leaves a huge responsibility, a sacred responsibility on us. How do we honor those who perished? And he goes on to say, with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. Every time we light our Shabbat candles, we erase darkness. Each time we sing a Hebrew melody and hear these beautiful melodies that Jacob plays for us on our Zoom, and Baruch Hashem, tomorrow in our shul and on Zoom, we defy our oppressors. Each time we attend Torah study, as you do every Shabbat, is a Torah study. When we investigate together the meaning of the Torah, when we attend Leil study on a Sunday, one Sunday a month now, every time we attend Torah study, we remind Hitler of what he lost. I had the honor to be at Auschwitz for the 60th anniversary of the release of all those tragic remnants of Jews that were left behind. And I stood there with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, more non-Jews even than Jews from all over the world. And as the Israeli Air Force flew overhead, I thought, this is the response to the horror of the Auschwitz. This is the response to Hitler, not to run away. And I must say that Germany, in my mind, has done everything they can, as we did with our TRC, they've done so much to readdress the past, which was not their fault. It was other generations, but they have taken that accountability, unlike many of the horrors of today who've raped countries, who've, through corruption and through murder today in the Ukraine, the people are not taking responsibility. Each time we stand up for human dignity, no matter who it is, we destroy ignorance. Each time we plant a tree in Israel, we sow seeds for the future. Each time we teach our children to harness light, we embrace hope. And each moment in time we stop to remember the victims, we vow never again. May we also vow never again for the victims that surround us since the Holocaust. That never again wasn't never again. For Rwanda, for what's happening on our borders, Lesotho, for all the terrorist acts and death and murders in Africa, Nigeria, and especially for those being murdered in Ukraine. You, by being part of the Shabbat service, are part of the light unto nations. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen.